Oh, some more bad housing market news, and the People's Bank of China, as in the Chinese government, have been doing trial runs on their own cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin, for use in China. When did this come about? It's like we're about to find out here in just a second. But before I start, I'd like you to just take a little peek. Told you that Silver Doctors or SDBullion.com had some kind of a special minting of these coins right here. The Donald Trump. It says, vote Trump 2016, he shall overcome. In the back, just says Silver Shield, 1 troy ounce, 2017. Whatever, if you can see that. Kind of a neat little coin. I bought a few of them. I just had to have at least a few. And thought to myself, you never know if a coin like this could become extremely valuable in the future. For one of two reasons. One, this man, Donald Trump, comes out, and so far, he's doing what he said he's going to do, and literally goes down in American history as a superhero. Or B, the club decides to take him out and JFK him. For those two reasons, that coin might be quite valuable one day. That's not exactly why I got it. I almost felt like out of respect to the Donald, I'm buying a few coins with your face on it. So I think I'll start first on the new home sales collapsing. Zero Hedge, of course, favorite site, one of my favorite sites. New home sales collapse in December, so just last month, as Trump rate surge hits. With soaring mortgage rates and plunging mortgage applications, it should be no surprise that new home sales crashed in December. Analysts expected a modest 0.7% decline, but sales crashed 10.4%, the most since March 2015. And at 536,000 SAAR, this is the lowest since February 2016. First annual decline since February. Home sales in the Midwest crashed 41% sequentially and 29% year over year. The supply of homes for sale increased to 5.8 months, the highest since September 2015, from 5 months in November. There were 259,000 new houses on the market at the end of December, the most, by the way, since 2009. You know, the year of TARP funds, bailouts, and everything. This is the first clear indication that higher rates, interest rates, mortgage rates, are crushing the housing market, as I warned you about well in advance. And it looks like it's starting to rear its ugly head, at least a little bit. And median home price surges to $322,500, second highest in series history, by the way, just lower than the record $323,700 in September. So we're talking, $1,000 off of that from touching that all-time high. As Bloomberg points out, the figures indicate that the increase in mortgage rates curbed momentum in the housing market after steady job gains and historically low borrowing costs help push full-year sales to the highest since 2007. Stricter lending standards also remain a hurdle for buyers this year. Having said that, this will be in probably tomorrow's videos. Usually on the weekend I do 2 videos a piece on Saturday and Sunday. But I've got 2 to do then tomorrow. And let me get out of there. It's from a website called moneyandmarkets.com, and this guy, I've heard of his name before, and I'm like, I know that name. And he's one of these sound money guys, sound investments, keep your money out of the system, and if you have to do it the safest way. They give guidance. Of course, they have I think the guy's part of 3 or 4 different companies, but he does articles from time to time on one of his websites, and I'm reading it. I'm like, okay, this guy is that dude. He studies a lot of this long-term cycles, the Elliott wave cycles, some of what Martin Armstrong does. As a matter of fact, he mentions Martin Armstrong as kind of guiding him a while back on some of the cyclical work he does. And again, it's not anything I haven't been saying for a long time, and even recently, even though Trump's in office, and the guy kind of feels the same way. Like, the cycles are the cycles. You can't argue with the sun coming up and down. And we have cycles that are coming every 52 years, 55 years, whatever, Doesn't matter who the president is. And the all-time bottom, apparently, of markets and, I think, housing, which I'll get into it when I read this, but is in 2025. That's the all-time bottom, apparently, if his cycle-type work is right. And I think it just might be. But that's a video. I'll be doing 2 back-to-back. The same guy, 2 different articles. Totally worth it tomorrow, so stand by for that. On to the People's Bank of China thing. Now, I'm like, why haven't I really heard this anywhere? But I followed 2 different sites. One of them is spelled CAIXING or CAIXIN and then global.com. And it's by, for sure, a Chinaman and his partner, friend, Zhang Yuz and Han Wei. And again, I've only seen a couple spots, so I'm not sure why I haven't found more sites in at least the U.S. that are in English picking this up. But I'm going to read it to you anyways because I think this is legit, but I'm not sure what to think about this yet. So let's just kind of take this with a grain of salt for the time being. The People's Bank of China, or PBOC, completed a successful trial run of a digital bank acceptance exchange, moving closer to becoming the first central bank in the world to research and test its own digital currency. According to sources from the People's Bank of China, the central bank, on December 15th, completed the trial in transactions and settlements of bank acceptance bills using a digital currency it developed, supported by, keyword, blockchain technology, a secure digital ledger that records online transactions. Having said that, it still could possibly be, because I know, the international, when you send money, wire transfer stuff, it's the SWIFT system. That's the Western system. China, a while back, and I discussed this, and I think along with Russia, we want to create our own SWIFT alternative instead of having to use you guys. Because as soon as you put some country on the terror watch list or sanctioned up, they can't use SWIFT and all this. And all the U.S. has to do is just raise the flag and say, yeah, we don't like that guy. Okay, can't use SWIFT. So they decided we've had enough. We're going to create our own. That was a while back. So while this may not be exactly what Bitcoin is, it still could be some kind of currency that's like Bitcoin because it does use blockchain technology, unless for the simple fact, not for the simple fact, but maybe they're just using the blockchain technology so that every single transfer of every single one of these new digital online currencies can and will be tracked. And it's not necessarily like Bitcoin where only 22 million, Bitcoins or whatever the number is going to be created and that's it. It's not anything like that. I say it's not. I don't know that it is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if it's exactly like that. They may be able to, create as many as they need without having to mine them like we do here, right? It could just be a currency that they just issue out of that system, but because it's using blockchain technology, they can't just like print it and hide it kind of a thing, or, it's going to be logged everywhere. Every single transaction ever using that system is going to be logged. It may just be that. But the webbot said China's going to come around to Bitcoin and it's going to start but essentially taking a move to tell the citizens it's okay to use this thing. Like it's going to go out of its way to say, okay, we accept it. So either one of two things is going to happen. They're going to accept it and they're going to jump all over Bitcoin, or B, they're going to try to push this out on the people and push it the same way. But if they're going to do it this way, I'm going to suggest or think that it's going to go alongside Bitcoin. But who knows? It's still interesting that all of a sudden Bitcoin's talking, Webbot's talking about China, Bitcoin acceptance, and then this article was only 2 days old. So the central bank's digital acceptance exchange and currency system were put in place and connected for the test run with several commercial banks, including the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, and the private WeBank, the sources said. In response to the creation of the internet currency Bitcoin, Chinese monetary authorities have stepped up efforts to develop a government-backed, sovereign digital currency. Similar efforts to explore future forms of money are underway by the U.S. Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, and the Bank of Canada. Chinese regulators have tightened scrutiny of Bitcoin, which lacks any official backing, and have banned financial institutions from using it. That doesn't mean that they can't trade it, right? Because there are 3 major exchanges in China that do allow people to trade it. So notice how these 2 guys in this article from China have said what JSNIP4 has been saying about Bitcoin, and to which people keep trying to argue with me. Bitcoin is a what? Fiat currency because it is not backed by anything. It is the textbook definition of a fiat currency. Fiat meaning you just print this paper, it has a value that you say it does, but it's backed by nothing. No, it's not. Mining it doesn't equal backing it, because you mine gold, and mining doesn't back the gold. Your efforts in creating that gold, getting that gold out of the ground, so to speak, that's the backing for your paper money. So what could happen with Bitcoin is Bitcoin becomes the backing for something else. But in its current form, it is not. It is another fiat currency, but online. Having said that, it is quite expensive, and you can make a lot of money playing it. And that can always be a good thing. In addition, a new or a digital currency research institute will be officially set up after the week-long Chinese New Year holiday that starts Friday, sources said. Recruitment to fill several positions in the institute was launched in November, seeking experts in developing big data systems, cryptography, and blockchain technology. When the system is ready, the central bank's pilot digital bank acceptance exchange platform will be connected with the existing Shanghai Commercial Paper Exchange to form a national platform for bank bill transactions, said a person close to the central bank. The central bank's efforts to develop the digital currency started in 2014 when it set up a special research team to study the issue. The efforts came into the spotlight in January 2016 when the central bank released a statement saying its experts were discussing along with Citibank and Deloitte a general framework for an electronic currency. It was the first central bank to voice support for the concept of digital cash. The bank suggested the digital currency would not only reduce circulation costs, but also increase transparency and curb money laundering and tax evasion. The People's Bank of China says that China's digital money will be legal tender, backed by the central government, unlike Bitcoin, the encrypted electronic currency that can be bought, sold, and transferred without a bank. Ultimately, both digital and paper currency will be in circulation, according to the People's Bank of China. In an interview with the site CAIXIN in February 2016, central bank governor, I'm not going to pronounce that name, highlighted his interest in the development of digital currency and blockchain technology. In July of last year, the central bank kicked off the research on a demo platform for a bank acceptance exchange based on the technology. So it says, hold on, correction. The original headline was changed to refer to digital bills rather than digital currency to better reflect the actions of the People's Bank of China. And the first paragraph was clarified to say that the People's Bank of China is moving to be the first central bank to research and test its own digital currency. So I can see it now. They're going to have the digital currency, and Bitcoin's going to do what it's already been doing. It's acting like a commodity being traded on, Wall Street or the COMEX. That's what it's acting like. Again, you can't argue with $900 Bitcoin. You can't argue with that, regardless of what it is. Fiat, not fiat, backed by, not backed, whatever. You can't argue with $900 for this ridiculousness, okay? I don't mind saying so. I think that's about it. That's all I want to cover for this video. Take care.